Hello, hello, hello. I want to welcome you to Heart Talk 2025. This is Adelai Brown, your heart coach, and I am so excited to have you here with us tonight. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm really excited about tonight's talk, and let me go ahead and just I am Adelai Brown, your heart coach, and I work with individuals and I am on a mission to grow and cultivate heart equity. What is heart equity? Personal, relational, and financial wealth grown through authentic living. And I'm really excited about tonight's call because I believe that God is doing some amazing things in our lives in 2025. That's so funny. And I just laughed because it rhymed and I wasn't trying to. And I also believe that God has always been doing amazing things in our lives. And I want 2025 to be the year that we truly harness what God is doing in our lives. I want 2025 to be the year that we um truly connect to what God is doing, that we truly get in the flow of what God is doing, and just quite honestly feel more confident about who we are, what we're doing, what we're called to do, and who we're called to do that with, right? So we've been doing Hard Talk since September of 2014. And one of the things that I was reminded about tonight as I was getting ready to get on the call is how impactful Heart Talk has been in my own personal life over the years. I remember when we first started doing Heart Talk, my mother would get my son on Tuesday nights because when we first started doing Heart Talk, she could hear him in the background. Sometimes he would come in the room and like want to, get on me and play because Heart Talk used to go from nine. We used to get on at 9:15, and I was reflecting on how I used to feel and how I saw life and just where I was September 1st of 2014, and just where I am now and the growth that has happened and the healing that has taken place. It is only God that could get the glory for that. And I know that as much as healing as I've experienced, is so much more to experience. As much growth as I've experienced, is so much more to experience. But what I also know is that God is doing such an amazing work in and through me that I just want to stay in the process and continue trusting the process. So here we are, the first Heart Talk of 2025, and I want to welcome you, and one, thank you for being here with me, and then I want to welcome you along on the process, whether you are listening in live or shout out to Ears, thank you for being here, or and all of our YouTube family. 2025, we have our YouTube Heart Tribe on Heart Talk on Tuesday nights, and one of the things that I want us to be very, very focused on, and something I want us to keep in front of our minds. And this, I guess, is indirectly, I guess you could say this is my word for the year, is I want to talk to us tonight about being intentional. Because Heart Talk, I intentionally did Heart Talk every Monday night because I felt like that was a calling that was on my life, and I still feel that way. But the thing about it is, I've never felt fully equipped to do it. I've never felt like I just always had the answers and I just always got it right and I could just always figure it out. I've never felt that way. And because of that, um, every time I get on Heart Talk, every time I get on the stage, every time I do anything that I do, I'm doing it by faith because I'm trusting God. Because this part of my journey is all God. Because when I started Heart Talk, I was on a completely different journey. I had a different focus in my life. I thought that I needed to get an advanced degree in order to be valuable, right? I was very angry and irritated with my husband because I mean, just to be frank, I wanted him to fill the voids that my father left. So I had daddy issues and I brought it into the marriage, and I was looking for my husband to be my daddy and figure it out and just know what I need and just all the things that go with that. On top of that, I was very insecure about being a mother. And at the time, all of our children were young. When I started doing Heart Talk, my oldest child was 13, get ready to turn 14. So everybody was still relatively young, and so was I. And also one of the funnier things when I started Heart Talk, and I feel like interesting things, my mom and I were really in the thick of trying to heal and restore our relationship. So those that used to get on Heart Talk years ago could tell you about how, my mom and I, you could tell that there were times that we weren't necessarily seeing eye to eye, and she was not agreeing with what I was saying on Heart Talk. And we didn't do it live video like this. We did Heart Talk on the conference call. So I couldn't see the faces, but you can hear the tone and you could feel it. And it was just such a powerful, powerful time. And I still feel that way. And I feel like God is doing a new thing through Heart Talk. I feel like God is wanting to reach more people and let more people know that this type of healing, these types of conversations are available. This type of healing is available. This type of living is available where you can love yourself and also grow and continuously grow in the process. And that's what I wanted to talk to you about tonight. So I'm gonna jump in, just to let you know, like I said, we are recording this session. It is live on YouTube, so you will be able to go back and look at it at any time. And I just want to talk to you tonight about being intentional, right? Intentional. Intentional. And I wanted to talk about being intentional because this is the new year, right? And um this is the first Tuesday of the new year, right? So tomorrow we would have made an entire week in 2025. And one thing I know about being in the new year is that when you're in the new year, a lot of times, many of us are very prone to making New Year's resolutions. Some of us don't like that term. Some of us don't like that terminology. Some people will say, well, I'm setting new goals or I'm doing something new. And you hear a lot of the new year, new me, new year, new things going on. I'm not dealing with this. I'm not going to go through that. Just whatever the various things are. But a lot of times the chronological date on the calendar is prompting people to want to do something new, to want to try to make a shift, to want to transition from one thing to another. But what I have found in my own life, and I've seen with others, especially as being a coach, just being a human, but being more aware and paying more attention to myself, paying attention to people, coaching and facilitating and teaching. You get to meet a lot of people and you hear a lot of stories. And one of the things that it's almost as if because the date on the calendar is saying something, um because the date on the calendar is saying something, it's as if your life is just going to magically change, right? And I know I used to think that. I don't know why. I used to feel like, I guess at 12 o'clock something different is going to be going on. My life is just going to be so much more fulfilling, and it's just going to be, I'm going to have this new energy, and I'm just going to have this new ability to say no, and just all the things. And then, January the 7th or the 8th or the 9th comes for some people, the first, second, and third. And it's just like, oh, we just back to the old thing. And I wanted to talk to us tonight about really making this year the best year ever for you, or really making this year the year that you got your breakthrough, or really making this year the year that you were enlightened, the year that you believed something new, the year that you got to experience more joy, more peace, more fulfillment because you were more intentional. And I think a lot of times we go through life thinking that other people have the power. We think that the government has the power, and we think that, our parents have the power. We think our boss, our job has the power. We think that, depending on where you are culturally, you think different ethnicities have the power, right? But what I want us to really hone in on as we go through 2025 and just through the rest of our lives, not just 2025, but just making this a stake in our lives, a time that we can look back on when we get to where we're going in the next month or 3 months or 6 months or 1 year. When we get to that place, we can look back at this day or this time or this season of our lives and say, I remember when I made a shift. I remember when I made a change. And I believe that the way that we're going to be able to do that is that we have to be willing to be intentional. We have to be willing to live an intentional life. We have to be willing to live with intention. We have to be willing to grow with intention. We have to be willing to heal with intention. We have to be willing to invest with intention, travel with intention, grow and establish or even disconnect from relationships with intention, manage our money with intention. I believe that a lot of times we don't get the results that we're looking for is because we're like on a hope and a prayer. We're not investing the time, we're not investing the effort. So let's look at not so much not invested the time and the effort, but it's the way that it's being done. So what I wanted to do tonight is let's look at the really quick. I want to read to you the definition of intention, and this is just the what Merriam-Webster, Google definition of intention, but it says a thing intended, an aim or plan, right? A thing intended, an aim or a plan. So I'm saying let's start off 2025 with intention, right? Let's start off 2025 with a thing intended. Let's start off with an aim or a plan. Another definition for it says the action or fact of intending. The action or fact of intending, right? And then another one um, is and this really got me. Well, let me read this one. A person's designs, especially a man's in respect of to marriage, right? So when somebody said, well, what are your intentions with her, right? But just your a person's design, like what is your intention with something? What are you designing? What were you going for? What were you looking to create out of this or make from this? Or what did you want me to get from this, right? The intention of the thing. But this is the part that got me when I was looking up the definition earlier. It says in medicine, the healing process of a wound. Hmm. The healing process of a wound. So when we look at being intentional, we're looking at um, moving through life with an aim or a plan, right? We're looking at being very focused on what we're designing. Regardless of if it's a physical thing, it could be an idea, it could be a relationship, right? But whatever it is that we're designing, but when I because I'm so focused on doing hard work, and I truly believe that just like our bodies have to recover from the stresses and experiences of life that we go through, I believe that our hearts, our soul, our mind, our spirits, it has to recover from the experiences that we go through in life. So I truly believe that this hard work and this healing process is just as important as you sleeping at night, as you resting. That's why I'm so passionate about growing heart equity. What is that? Personal, relational, and financial wealth grown through authentic living. And so when we think about being intentional. And when we think about moving through 2025 with intention, we think about what is your design for 2025, right? What is the action or fact that you're wanting to prove through the way that you're living, right? What is your aim, your plan, or your purpose, right? One of the things that I realized very clearly, even as recently as just a little bit earlier before we got on the call, is that the intentions that I have set for my life are really stretching me out of my comfort zone, right? And if I am going to live a fulfilling life, I'm going to have to live very intentionally. In order to live intentionally, I'm going to have to develop a discipline and be consistent in that discipline so that I can see this thing through to the end. And what I have found in my life is that a lot of times when I have been very down on myself and feeling like, man, I can't get it together, or like, what am I supposed to do? Anytime I'm walking in confusion or chaos or sadness, feeling like I don't know what I'm doing, any frustration, any of those things is typically because I am not operating from a place of being intentional and from a place of intention. I'm not moving from an aim or a plan. I'm not working on the design that was set in place. I'm just out here allowing my emotions to control the actions that I'm taking every day. So then those actions are not going to be calculated. They're not going to be able to be measured. I'm not going to know really have a gauge or a handle on what I'm doing because I'm all over the place. I'm not moving with intention. But when you move with intention, you start to see things start to form. You start to see things produce. You start to see it's like your life starts to come together. But let me tell you, the thing that I'm learning is it does not happen fast. It really doesn't happen fast. As we go into this 11th year of doing Heart Talk, one of the things that I realize is it has taken all this time, and it's still taking time for God to really, for it to really set in my heart how much God loved me and how worthy I am, and how much I have been equipped for whatever this task is God has put before me, that I already have what it takes. I've been fearfully and wonderfully made. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Yeah, I can quote those scriptures all day, but it has taken doing the work, being intentional over these last past, how old is Chris? 12, 13 years, and saying, look, I want to be better. I want to be better. And I truly believe that I'm just getting started. I told myself, I said, you know what? I'm going into this year. I told myself this on my birthday. I feel like my new year started when Heart Talk started back. And I told myself, and when my birthday came, I said, you know what? I'm starting over. I'm a toddler in life. I did my first 42. All right, let me start fresh. But this time I'm starting with the wisdom, the knowledge, the experiences, right? The focus, the intention um that I didn't always have in the first 42, right? And I realized that a lot of times we get caught up on, am I in my purpose? Am I living on purpose? When you're being intentional about what you're doing, you're going to be living on purpose. I think sometimes we think purpose is a thing. I am now growing and seeing that purpose is it's like a way of being, right? I feel like my purpose is to encourage. I feel like my purpose is to uplift. I feel like my purpose is to enlighten, all the things in the heart acronym, right? To heal and be honest, right? To be enlightened and be encouraging, right? To live authentic, right? And be an advocate, right? live revitalized and a life of revitalization, and then allow that to transform and continue to transform my life. And what I have found is that when you're in this space, I kind of I got a little off. Let me say this. When you're um living with intention, and you're doing what you need to do, then you're going to always be operating in your purpose, right? So I can be encouraging when I'm teaching the business class, but I also can be encouraging as a mother. I'm operating in my purpose regardless of how I'm showing up. I can be encouraging at the grocery store when I see a younger mother in there with her child just completely losing it and just smiling and saying it's okay. It's going to be all right. Y'all going to figure it out, because I remember how I used to feel, right? I'm living on purpose by doing that. I don't have to be, and this is something that I have had to learn and I've had to really come to terms with. And this is where I am coming into 2025. And I'm gonna pause in a second to give y'all some time because I want to hear from y'all. But when we're living intentional and we're living in our purpose, I feel like you're always going to be in your purpose when you're being who you were created to be. Some of us are created to be problem solvers, right? Some of us are created to be creatives. Like some people could just make you feel better. Like you could be sitting at I've been at been places with people, and we could just be sitting at a restaurant and they could just draw a really pretty picture on a napkin while we waiting on our food. And it just brighten your day. That was their purpose, right? But then somebody else's purpose is to be in the lab, and they might be working on, whatever the cure is to the next disease or whatever that is, right? But my point in saying that is I think sometimes we get really bogged down in what other people want, what other people need, what other people are requiring from us. And we get really lost in being intentional about living on purpose. So then what happens is we become resentful. We become um, mediocre. We become bitter a lot of times. We become people pleasers, or we become angry or combative, because we're not happy, we're not fulfilled in what we're doing on a day-to-day basis. And so as we go through 2025, as we start off this year, I wanted us to start off Heart Talk being intentional, thinking about what does that mean for you in your life. But before we go off on I want to lose this amount of pounds and I want to make this amount of money and I want to do all these other things, I want us to be intentional about what is it going to look like to make sure that we're good from the inside out every day. What does it look like to be intentional about being whole and living whole and feeling good about who we are, even if things ain't perfect, even they don't have to always be working out, but what would it look like to be intentional about prioritizing you being your best self in 2025? Like best self from the inside out, not from the outside in. What would that look like? Right? That's something that, I've been really thinking about, because I know so many people, it's like, I want to live on purpose. I want to fulfill my purpose. I want to do whatever God put me here to do. And it's like, maybe that is just, thank you. Be kind to yourself, right? Maybe that is go to therapy, right? Maybe that is you need to take a trip. Maybe you need to start exercising. Maybe you need to sit down and talk with somebody, a financial planner about getting your life in order. Maybe you need to talk to a realtor about getting a house. Maybe you need to talk to a realtor about selling a house. Maybe you need to, you know, go skydiving. I wouldn't do that, but maybe you need to do that to take care of yourself. I don't know. But what what does being intentional about prioritizing you look like? in 2025. And then we could take care of everybody else. And then we could save the world. Anybody have any comments or questions? Anyone want to share? You can come off mute. I'd love to hear from you. Happy New Year. We're talking about being intentional. As I was preparing for the call, one of the things that one of the things that got me when I saw that definition that said one of the definitions for intention says in medicine the healing process of a wound, and some of the synonyms of um, intention are deliberateness, design, intentionality, premeditation, preconception, forethought, plan, planning. One thing I realized I took a very good assessment of myself. I'm still working on it, but one thing I realized as I closed out 2024 is I will do a great job of setting plans. I just do an awful job of following them. I flipped through my journal, I flipped through my workbooks that I have, and oh my goodness, I have some plans in place. I have plans outlined, marketing outlines, things to do with my clients, just all kinds of ways to grow my business, do things with my family, just all of these ideas. And then when I look at certain areas of my life or certain things that I'm working on, and I'm like, what's going on here? And I was finding myself feeling like maybe I don't have what it takes, or maybe I need to go take this class, or I need to do this, because that is something that I always thought, look, I need to go take this class, or let me go talk to this person, because I have been delivered from feeling like everybody else know better than me. Everybody else can figure it out better than me. I did not trust myself. I did not trust my decision making. And as I did work with that, I didn't trust myself and I didn't trust my decision making, because in the past I made certain decisions and it didn't work out. And I hadn't forgiven myself for that. I didn't forgive myself for being human. Go figure. Because humans make mistakes. But for a very long time in my life, I didn't really give myself that room. So I would make the mistake, but then internally, I would be very mean and nasty and malicious towards myself. And that does not help us. Negative self-talk, beating ourselves up, that does not help. All it does is slow us down. And so as I was closing out the year, I said, okay, my mom's not with me in physical form the way I want her to be. And I have to, and that's not, it's like I had other things going on and other plans, but when you go through such life shifting situations like that, it just make you rethink everything. And what her death did for me, it one showed me I don't have all the time that I think I have. One. I don't have time to keep putting off for tomorrow what God is telling me to do today. I don't have time for that. I don't, because I don't know when my day is. And I'm not living in fear, but this is something that I truly believe that God, one of my coaches, and I love this, she said, we want to live in a state of urgency. We're not being anxious, but be urgent, like be intentional, right? Um act like it's gonna work out, right? When you do certain things, um and you work towards certain things, you are more intentional, you are more consistent when you really believe it's going to work out. And so when I was like, okay, I write all these plans, and okay, I'm having to, rethink my life right now and just kind of figure a lot of things out about me. I realize how much of my life, how much of my value I put into my doing and not my being. So being in this space right now, I really just want what God got for me. I really just want to show up how he want me to. Like I used to always say that, but it was something deep down inside of me that was looking to like reach a certain goal and like get to a certain level of success. And I'm not saying I don't have goals and aspirations, but the motive behind it is different. I don't want these things because I feel like I'm lacking. I have these certain goals because I truly believe that these are things that I want. They're good things, and I feel like these are things that God has for me. But I a lot of things I couldn't get that I wanted because I was subconsciously rejecting it. If you don't if you don't deep down believe you're worthy of it, that you can have it, that you can do it, that you can maintain it. Like a lot of us ain't worried about failing, we worried about being successful. And can I carry the weight of that? Can I be responsible when I get up? Am I going to fall down? And we don't talk about it. A lot of times it's not even like a conscious thing. But when I tell you that it's controlling the decision making that we're making, like the decisions that we're making, it's controlling the status of our relationships, it's controlling the amount in our bank account, it's controlling our health, our blood pressure, our blood flow. It's a real thing. So when we talk about being intentional, for me, it's it's all encompassing of really just allowing God to be God in your life and allow the miracles, the blessings, the breakthroughs to be able to take place, and also understand that those things a lot of times come out of breaking and growing pains, and understanding that it's just like maze, joy and pain. It's like sunshine and rain. That's, my mom. Oh God, mommy love her some Frankie Beverly and Maze. And I mean, but the other Maze song, right? We are one. And when we live intentional, we can get through these things victoriously. Living intentional is not always comfortable. Living intentional is not popular. You're not going to always get to do the things you want to do. You're not going to always get to go where you want to go. But if you live intentional, you have way more freedom to live the life you want to live. Anybody have any comments or questions? Anything? And is this making sense? How y'all doing in 2025? Anybody care to share how 2025 is treating you so far? Because I'll tell you this right here, this is this is good. I'm feeling good about this. I'm feeling really good about us being intentional. So don't feel like, oh man, I'm never going to get this done. No, ask yourself, like, be very honest. Have I been putting the effort into this thing that is required? Have I been being intentional with myself in the things that matter most to me? And if you are not saying yes to these things, then you may feel like, man, I gotta get this done. Man, this not working out. Man, I can't seem to work through this. I can't seem to get this right. And that's rightfully so. But when we lock in to intention, when I saw that definition of intention and I zeroed in, I was like, Kevin was like, and I want to shout out Kevin. Kevin helped me get set up tonight. And it was too cute. And I told him, I was like, I'm gonna shout you out, tell everybody, Kevin helped me get myself together. And I was studying for Heart Talk. And when I saw this definition, and it was like in medicine, the healing process of a wound. And I just it almost made me want to cry because in that moment I have looked up the definition of intention more times than you could know. The fact that I've never seen that, maybe it was there and I overlooked it. Maybe they updated the dictionary online. I do not know. But the fact that I feel like God has so called me to focus on holding space for us to be honest about the things that are holding us back. And a lot of times it is the thought, the memory, the emotion that you don't even think much about. But sometimes you just need the whole space. It's almost, and I don't want to gross y'all out, but this is the example that I got. It's like a fart. It's like passing gas. Like sometimes, like I'm not trying to tell you to this wallow in it. What I'm saying is let's just acknowledge it. Okay, it stinks. Let's let it go. Let's acknowledge what comes up when we smell a smell. Hey, sometimes it'll tell us, hey, you might need to, go to the doctor. You might need to go use the bathroom. You might need to do something different, but let's work through with intention. Let's prioritize being our best selves. And I believe a lot of times people like to go to let's think positive, think positive, think positive, and that's fine. And you should have a healthy thought life. But I just want you to know your thought life is rooted in your emotional life. And if you don't have a good um regulated nervous system, right? If you can't handle um the ups and downs of life as they come. We all have our times when it can be hard. But if you going off in traffic and almost ready to fight people every day after work, if you can't have a amicable conversation with someone because y'all disagree and now you want to fight or you just never want to talk to them again. These are just signs that maybe this is something that I need to work on. And maybe you're not reacting like that, but maybe when you're in certain situations in your life and in your relationships and people say certain things, you hear certain things, you feel it in your body. It's a discomfort. Maybe you tense up in your neck or it's like a pitting feeling in your gut or you get hot in different areas. I don't know what it is, but it's just a sign that maybe that's an area that you need to be more intentional, that you need to find out a little bit more about you. Explore a little bit more about what God is trying to show you about who you are. Because what I believe is the more we find out who we are, the more we get to experience how great God is. Because He's always with us, like always trying to get us to live in our best life and be our best self. But a lot of times we so bogged down in the ways of the world, like the Bible said, we must be in the world, but not of the world. Don't be bogged down with the pressures. I should have done this. I should have been here by now. This should have worked out this way. This should have. No, 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 no. You right where you need to be. When I had that revelation for my birthday, it was so refreshing. I said, okay, let me start fresh. I'm gonna just, I'm gonna just start with a new slate. Who am I now? I know who I was. I know I used to be. Who am I now? Like right now. I think sometimes we're trying to like force ourselves into being who we used to be. And when somebody new is unfolding, it can be scary. It can be a little, you know, it can shake you up sometimes. But I believe that when we're intentional with ourselves and making sure that we're in a good space mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, financially, relationally, then I believe that like we're all like, for lack of a better explanation, we're all the sun in our low solar system. And the way that we can impact any and everything we come around is very powerful. But we're doing that whether we realize it or not. But when you live with intention, now you realizing the power that you're operating in, that you are creating in, that you are. And you also realize like we need it. Like one hand wash the other. It's like when I was studying the fruit and it just talked about how if you want to grow these fruit trees, grow them with other fruit and veggies that grow well because that's going to help your crop grow well. But in order to do that, you got to be intentional. So if we have to be intentional even in how we are planting crops so that we can sustain life, we definitely need to be intentional about how we showing up every day. So let's not give our power to the government, to, our significant other, who, whatever, our children, our family, our whoever is tugging at us. Let's be intentional about being our best selves this year because when we do that, guess what's going to happen? We're going to be able to show up even better for them in our low solar system. Our sun will shine even brighter. Anybody have any comments or questions? Anyone want to share?
I've really enjoyed this. This has been really good. And when I listen to you guys, I know I'm listening to you from not where I used to be, meaning that y'all are going to come and get here, but just I'm a different space now, And I was just thinking when I was listening to you talk that when I look back, I can remember that a lot of this thing, when you talk about being intentional, for me now is that that there's so many avenues, there's so many ways that one can look up stuff, there's so much information, there's so many places you can see and you can do, and that makes it really difficult because see, I was born in a time before all this, so I actually have seen this stuff develop. Most of you, when you came, most of this stuff was already here. I was born before everybody had TVs. You understand what I'm saying? So I have seen all this kind of different stuff in life. I have seen the TV with the three channels. I have seen the development of the internet. When it first came, all you could do was play Pong on it, which was like playing tennis on it, and it was a big thing, like, we're gonna play Pong. It was on the game. Sometimes when I think about that, I was there when there was the party line, and what I would say, and I tell this to my sons all the time, because see, now I can have all kind of visions for you
Mm,
because I am past the point of where I'm growing stuff. So I can listen to you guys on this screen and know that you're younger. And I can see things that, boy, it would be nice if you did this and if you did that. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm not where you are and I'm in a different space now. But that
mm-hmm,
also lends itself to things that I remember when I was like in my 40s and 50s, which was that kind of regret that I had for things that I wish
mm,
that I had tried. So it's not
mm,
about accomplishing, it's about doing. It's
mm,
about doing the things that I loved as much as I could, right? And
mhm,
still preparing for the time when I got older so that I would have a way to live because it's a balancing act. And I know you do a lot. You have to have time, but a lot of the stuff that we do now didn't even exist before. The idea of being on Zoom, the idea of having people that would coach you, all of this is like new stuff, and
mhm,
it's fantastic. And I look at this stuff and I think of all of the things that I did when I was younger, right? to realize that most of the things that I faced were not about other people in my life. It was about me believing that I had value and that I should feel good and do the things that I liked, right? Because I was always, it wasn't about people asking, because people can ask you for stuff all the time. And if you're not going to give them and you're okay with it, like people you don't think you should give, you have no problem with it. And you're not nasty. You're just like, okay, well, maybe next time,
Yes.
and you
Mhm.
keep it moving. But when I think that I don't, let me just say this and be quiet. I can remember when I first, like now, sometimes even still, I will have time because I'm retired and someone will ask me to do something that I don't want to do, right?
Uh-huh.
And what I had to train myself to do is see, I would think about it and I'd be like, I don't want to do that. And I'd be thinking about it, and then I'd say, well, I'm not doing nothing. Well, I might as well, as though I didn't deserve to have time to do nothing. You feel me?
Mm.
So it wasn't about them asking. It was about me not feeling that if I was sitting here watching TV or picking my note, whatever it was I was doing, that I deserved to have time for me.
Mhm.
So I
Mhm.
don't have to be mean. I don't have to be angry because you ask.
Mhm.
You're supposed to ask. And
Yeah.
the problem is that I train you to keep asking more and more because I keep doing stuff. And that doesn't work for me because, see, when I do things that I don't want to do, I do it, but I'm doing, but I don't want to do it because my attitude is, you're moving too slow. Let's go. So it'd be better if I didn't do it. I'm having
Oh
that
God.
issue with my significant other now. And I know because now he anticipates my having, and he's right. He needs to do stuff for himself, and I need to quit doing things I don't want to do. Or maybe not. That's just where I am now. I could, 5 minutes from now, or when we come on to Heart Talk next year, I may be telling you something totally different. Who
And that's
knows?
okay. And that's okay. We're ever evolving and growing. It's happening. It's always happening. I thank you so much for sharing that. And I thank you for that perspective because I do feel like in this season of my life, I don't want to live with regret. I don't want to, carry that heavy feeling of woulda, shoulda, couldas. And it already could start to set in if you're not clear and you're not, really focused about doing the things that are good for you. So I really I thank you for that. And when you get it's funny because when you speak it, you always say, I'm gonna be quiet because I know I'm older than y'all. And the funny thing about that is, our oldest member of Heart Talk was Mother Bertha. And Mother Bertha, I think she was 88 when she stopped getting on Heart Talk. I think it was 88, 87 or 88 years old. And she would extend her bedtime because her bedtime was 8 o'clock. And we used to do Heart Talk at 9:15. And she would stay up at 9:15. It was to the point that her kids knew not to call her on Monday nights because she was on her talk with her girls. And she would just get on and just encourage us and just pretty much do what you're doing and just pretty much say, like, look, I'm listening to y'all from the other side of this life and just keep doing what you're doing and just keep working at it and just keep loving the Lord and keep putting him first. And she was so encouraging for us. It was like one of the first times I ever had a woman that senior, that down to earth, like with these types of conversations and not trying to just water it down. Well, the Lord gonna work it out. Just pray about it. Don't talk about them like that. Because she realized in her own life how much we walk through life with a facade, and that was a part of her testimony. And so she didn't really stop living her life in her facade till she was almost 50 years old. So when she started talking to us, she was like, look, I'm free and I want y'all to be free. And when you were talking just now, you made me think about her so much because I just know if she was still here with us, she would have been back on this call. She would have been um amen in you, and y'all two would have been talking about stuff we don't know nothing about, the party line and all that stuff. I I used to hear about that stuff. I'm like, what? How y'all use the phone? Oh, never mind. um, but no, but and I just I appreciate the wisdom. I really look at it. It's like even when the Bible talks about, like, it's like all age groups have wealth and a value that they bring to the other age groups around them. It's like everybody keeps each other sharp and intact the more we spend time with one another. And then we can see a lot more of how we can be more beneficial and see a lot more of what we have in common than what we don't. And then we all grow even more together. And so I just appreciate you being on here. I appreciate you sharing your wisdom. I appreciate it because we need these perspectives. We need people that can look at the things that we can get anxious and worked up about and be like, "Child, I remember when I was like that, and I remember when I stopped caring." And let me tell you about it. You know what I'm saying? And let me tell you what prompted that. Because sometimes that's what it is. It's these shifts in life. It's the setting the intention, staking your claim. Like, look, this is it. I'm burning the ship. I left my homeland. I'm on this new island. We're gonna figure this thing out. Um, and so that's what I want to encourage us with for 2025. I want us to be very intentional, but also be very patient with ourselves. I want us to move with a sense of urgency, but I still want us to be very graceful, and I want us to be patient with ourselves. So I keep saying, and this has not changed, I keep saying the turtle won the race. And I am okay with being a turtle. I don't need to be the jackrabbit. I don't need to be the one moving fast because that one did not win. And so sometimes you see people, it's like everything that glitter ain't gold. You see people moving fast and they moving fast to get nowhere. And sometimes you have to, we have to train ourselves to move at the pace we were created to move at and do the things that feel good to us, not in a very humble way. And I think sometimes we can get very caught up on hearing people say, that's selfish, you putting yourself first. No, because a lot of times when you're doing what feels good to you and what's right to you, it is nourishing and just helping so many other people along with you. It's a good thing. It's a very good thing. Heart Talk is a perfect example of that. Heart Talk feels good to me. But I know over the years, the testimonies that I've gotten and the testimonies that are still coming in about how Heart Talk has literally saved people's lives. I remember getting on the call, sometimes being the only person on the call. But I'm talking just like this because I know somebody's going to listen to this replay. Maybe not tonight, maybe tomorrow, maybe 3 years from now. I don't know. People are still listening to Heart Talk replays on the free conference call. I have trouble trying to find the replay. I don't even know how but it's showing me the reach. But I'm not doing it like Miss Connie was pointing out. I'm not doing it because I got the time and this is just what I should be doing. No, I'm doing it because this feels good to me. This feels true to me. I feel like this is a part of this is a part of my purpose. And so next week, y'all remind me, my plan is we going to talk a little bit more about purpose when we talk about being intentional. I talked a little bit about it earlier, but your purpose is when you showing up as your authentic self, living your life in the way that you were created to live. And that shows up at the grocery store, like I said. That shows up at the doctor's office. That shows up when you walking in the park. You going to be you wherever you show up. And when you're doing that intentionally and doing it from a place of this is who God created me to be, Nothing can stop us. Nothing will stop us. And I believe that we can do that, it being intentional and taking our time, because I have not been one to be patient with myself. And with everything I have gone through in my life, I am now. I'm taking that one on. I'm going to be patient and I'm going to live the best life I can possibly live. And I'm going to do my best to support and help as many others as I can in doing that as well from a whole healthy place. And I encourage you to do the same in the way that works for you. So that's all I got for Heart Talk number 1, 2025. Anybody have any closing comments, any requests for topics, any praise reports, any prayer requests? Please share that. You can put that in the chat. You could also come off mute and let me know. But I just want to put that out there as well. And let me see if anybody on YouTube. Nope. Okay. Y'all good to go? How they say in church, all hearts and minds are clear. Our YouTube world, y'all good to go? All right. Well, what I will say is thank you so much for being here tonight. I thank you so much for um I'm trying to see something. Okay. I thank you so much for being here tonight. I thank y'all so much for um just being on this Heart Talk with journey with me, with us. Remember, we're growing and cultivating heart equity, personal, relational, and financial wealth through authentic living. I truly believe that when you heal your heart, you transform your life. And let's do that together. Let's be intentional. Let's live on purpose. And let's watch God blow our minds with the wonderful things that He's going to do in and through us. I love y'all so much. Y'all have a wonderful, wonderful evening. And I'll see y'all next Tuesday at 8 p.m. And I want to let you know that I am going to be speaking at the Cynthia Hurd Library. Is in Charleston this Saturday from 2:30, I think, till 5. They're having a vision board party for the community. And so I will be one of the presenters that will be presenting there. So if you're in the area from 2:30 to 5, it's called Plan, Pivot, Prosper Vision Board Party for 2025. So it's free. They'll have refreshments there. You're welcome to come out, and it's at 2:30, and it's at the Cynthia Hurd Library in West Ashley off of Sam Rittenberg Boulevard. So y'all have a wonderful, wonderful evening. I hope to see y'all there. Happy New Year. I love you very much. I'm praying for you. And remember, we got this. Good night, everybody. If I could close out.